For quite a number of months. What is it that you're doing as police? Do you think that is part of a syndicate? Well, what are you doing so far with it?
Yeah, well, incident happened on Saturday night, and we responded as the police in terms of investigation. So we've taken a few people already in custody. The vehicle that was mentioned, we've managed to locate the vehicle and we found it. So we are continuing with our investigation, and we hope there are more people that we might have to take into custody so that we can be able to get answers as to what led into this shooting. There are many leads that we are following. VW as a vehicle, I'm not much in a position of talking about a syndicate of a vehicle of some sort. The reality is, what we've discovered as a police is that the culture of this e-hailing transport. Today you wake up unemployed and not registered as a taxi owner. Tomorrow your uncle, your cousin, or whoever gives you a small car to drive, and you start doing taxi business with it, because that's what e-hailing is about. You Uber or whatever these other companies you call them, and we find a lot of those that are moving around, especially in the townships. So, and majority of them are these hatchback vehicles. The Toyotas, VWs, you name them. So there's quite a lot of them that are driving around. So when a person says to you, there's this VW that is terrorizing people, the question is, if you stand on the road, how many of them are you going to see? There's a lot, because they're cheap. They're cheap to buy because they use them for this e-hailing system that they use them for. We find a bit of a challenge. These lot of vehicles that are driving around by youngsters in the main, but it's not a crime to drive a vehicle if you own it or the vehicle belongs to your family member, whatever the case may be. It's not a crime. But the reality is, what we find in our province, especially and especially in the townships, is that when people get into a conflict for whatever reason, they argue over whatever thing, the quick thing that they do is to shoot and kill each other. And when they shoot and kill each other, they use firearms. That firearms once belonged to a legal person. Someone with a license goes and buy a firearm, but he doesn't look after that firearm. Firearms get stolen, or there's a robbery in the house and they get that firearm, and that firearm becomes an illegal firearm, and then is used for crime. The availability of ammunition in our gun shops is also a problem for us. Because everyone can just go and buy, whoever's got a license, go and buy ammunition almost every day, from one gun shop to another, and you can even go and sell it later, and nobody's going to know anything about it. So we find a lot of challenge on that. You go to a taxi rank, you move around in many other places, people go with rifles, they've been protected, there's security companies that are registered every day, and all those security companies have got guns. So some of these matters that we are investigating, firearms being used, they belong to some security companies. So it's really a problem. It's a problem of society, as the MEC was talking about, that this place, majority of people that are drinking in this tavern might be those that are earning these 350 rand a month. But they bring it here to come and drink it, nothing else. You look around here and you ask yourself, what another source of economy in this area? Except alcohol. That's why there are so many drinking spots, so many taverns, so many liquor shops, because that's the only economy people know in this area. So that's why the leadership needs to come on board and help us to try and deal with that, because we cannot just fight crime without preventing. And prevention of crime is a very important thing that we need to attend to.
Just clarity before I give my other colleagues a chance. You said that there have been people who have been taken into custody. Have they been arrested? How many of them if they are?
Yeah, well, I can talk about what happened since this morning, but as now, I cannot tell you how many have been taken to custody. There's 2 of them that have been taken to custody thus far, but we expect to get more that might be involved with this case.
Okay, Londi, I'm sure you'll cover your other colleagues.
How? Police Commissioner, it's Londi Khade from the SABC. My question is, the MEC mentioned that the numbers of the community in places like is growing. Is the police force or service under-resourced?
If yes, what is going to happen in terms of resourcing this police station? Because we understand that previously, in less than 2 weeks, there are so many incidents when it comes to crime, shooting in Wapanda, shooting in Imba. What is it that the police need to do to try and protect the community?
Perhaps I should ask a question, say, whether have you ever witnessed crime yourself? Did you report it to the police? Have you?
Yes.
So it's something you do more often. And I want more citizens like you that are going to see wrong and they're going to report it on the spot. The question always that we have to ask, we can't find answers when you say under-resourced. Yes, we need to have personnel, we need to have vehicles and so forth. But a population size of, like in this area, of almost 300,000, how many police officers are we supposed to have? I don't think there's anybody, learned colleagues that are around here that can answer the question. The reality is we need every citizen to be eyes and ears of the police. It doesn't matter how many number of police officers we have. One police officer can secure the whole 300,000 communities. Only if every 300,000 community members are eyes and ears of the police. If they see wrong, they stop it. For this tavern to operate, the owner of this place applied for the license. And the liquor board will send communication to the community and consult them and ask them whether do you object to this. And there's no objection that comes from the community. If there's no objection, the liquor board will issue a license. And then the owner is going to establish a tavern. When people are dead, and we start blaming the tavern. So the question is, why did we allow the tavern to take place first place? So these are the challenges that we have. So in terms of the numbers of the police, it's going to be difficult for me to tell you that this is an ideal number. Under-resourced, yes, I can say that. There's a lot of things we need. We'd like to have lights everywhere. We'd like to have cameras everywhere. We'd like to have streets in the middle of every house. But that is not there. So, and we can't patrol in every single dark place. We can't patrol in every footpath that you find in this area, because this is a rural area. We can't patrol in every footpath. So that becomes a challenge. And with that number of liquor places, police will be in one and the shooting happen in another one. And the very same communities and the police responded here on the same night. The very same community were fighting with the police for responding to the crime scene. So the question is, what is expected of the police today? Must they come and stand guard here and make sure they search everyone that enters the tavern? I don't think it's possible. So I want to encourage communities and all of you here to be informers and share the information with us, because without that information, we're never going to know who's planning what.
Okay, colleagues, can I take the last two?
Three.
Can I take the last three? With the hope that maybe your colleague might cover you.
Mr. Sambonda from the Mercury. Can the police commissioner confirm whether there was any firing of rubber bullets at the family members who came here and saw the bodies of their loved ones likely uncovered? And if so, what are the police doing about it?
So I don't know about the rubber bullet you're talking about. This became a crime scene on the day.
Right.
As a crime scene on the day, police came here to take control of the crime scene. They're drunk, they are grieved, they wanted to interfere with the police work on the day in such a manner that they stoned the police vehicles, and the police had to call for backup. So it then became a crowd management situation. So if you ask me how then the crowd management was dealt with, I'm not going to give you the blow-by-blow on it.
But rubber bullets would have been shot.
Okay, it's not a...
Not could have been. I didn't say it could have been.
Okay, the last
I said crowd management was applied.
Commissioner Linda Minister from Newsroom Africa again. Can you confirm that when your police officers arrived or took over the scene, the integrity of this crime scene was intact? In other words, was there no tampering of the scene? Would you say that your police officers have all the evidence that they need to make these arrests? Number two, are you suspecting negligence from the tavern owner?
Let me start with the last one. Negligent, yes, 100%. If there was no negligence, if there was security in this place, nobody would have walked in with a firearm. So there was negligence from the tavern owner. With regard to the crime scene, when you talk about the tampering of the crime scene, so the incident happens, shooting takes place, people are running around, there will be cartridges falling on the ground and others will stamp on top of them. There will be dead bodies that are falling on the ground, others will tremble over them. So the scene is going to be disturbed during the chaos. And people will get out and police will secure the place. From the time of securing the place, whatever then that the police find there becomes the evidence that we collect for the crime scene. So when we talk about tampering of the crime scene, it will be maybe as when the police start taking charge of the scene, whether was there any interference on it. So the answer would be no. There's no interference, because once we secure the crime scene, the members stay out of it until the forensic experts comes in. From the footpath in that crime scene to every DNA you can collect in a crime scene is part of the evidence. So we don't want anybody to walk into the crime scene until the crime scene experts get in. So in this case, it was handled correctly.
General, just
is it a different question?
yeah, it's a different question.
Okay, last one.
Just in terms of, you've mentioned the Liquor Authority quite a bit yourself and the MEC, and it does appear that 168 taverns in such a small space is a bit excessive. Will you be engaging the Liquor Authority and maybe holding officials accountable who allow that to happen?
If you recall well, colleagues, that a couple of weeks back, we arranged a crime summit in Tavern. For those that were there, you attended. The purpose of us coming out of the crime summit was to try and engage society, from the government leadership to all the NGOs, civil society, and whoever that has got interest in the safety of the province, to come on board so that we can be able to discuss and come up with solutions. We as the police, we see a lot of things that are generators of crime. And we share with those things on daily basis with different structures. Alcohol, if you were to ask me as a police officer, I'll tell you, ban alcohol in the township and in the rural areas. Just completely shut it down. But can I? I won't be able to do that, because during the July riots last year, I received more than 10 phone calls in the middle of the night when the shops, different shops have been looted, without getting any phone call from a minister. But more than 10 ministers called me one evening because there were threats towards the SA breweries in Sping.
Remember
So that was the first time I got calls from ministers. Until I asked, because what is so special about these SA breweries? Why must we all divert all our resources to go and protect SA breweries? So there's something with alcohol in our country that got even the cabinet ministers active on that evening. So I really don't know. But if you were to ask me, I'll say shut it down. It's in the township. This thing is not on. It's really not on. There's so much crime committed as a result of alcohol, especially in the township. And I'm not going to negotiate that part. I'm taking it as easy as I've seen it, because we investigating cases and we see what comes out of it. It's there.
Can we wrap up, guys? Can we wrap up, colleagues? I will request the piece.
The mayor yesterday spoke about the fact that there have been these shooting incidents happening even from as far as last year, and that in fact there was a special team that was sent from National to come and deal with some of these issues.
All right, Provincial Police Commissioner Lt-General Mkhwanazi there addressing the media, speaking about the challenges of alcohol in particular in South Africa, saying he doesn't know what it is about the country and alcohol, going back to the July unrest and saying he wonders why so many resources were diverted to protect SAB and why even cabinet ministers were acting to try and protect SAB, and saying when it comes to the township, alcohol and crime are very interlinked and he thinks something should be done about that. Obviously, he's briefing the media in light of those at least 4 people who were killed in Pietermaritzburg this weekend. And we will be following that story. Mlondi Khadebe is there and will give us a summary a little bit later on.